Hello students, in this video we will be discussing the inverse of a matrix, elementary operations and the use of elementary operations in finding the inverse of a matrix. We first of all start with the concept of the invertible matrix. We talk about square matrix to be invertible if there exists another square matrix of the same order such that the product comes out to be an identity matrix. So what does it mean? We know that the matrix multiplication is a binary operation on the set of all the square matrices, and the identity matrix is the identity element for matrix multiplication. So we talk about the inverse of a matrix in the same context and we say AB is equal to I is equal to BA. So that is the basic definition of an invertible matrix. So if A is a square matrix and if there exists another square matrix of the same order such that AB is equal to BA is equal to the identity matrix, then B is called the inverse of A and it is denoted by A. In the superscript we write -1. So this is the notation for A inverse, and the matrix A is said to be invertible and we write it as A inverse is equal to B. Now if B is the inverse of A, then A is the inverse of B and we write it as B inverse equal to A. Now since B is already equal to A inverse, so we can write this as A inverse, and again if we take the inverse we have the matrix A. So by taking the inverse of a matrix we get the same matrix. This is another important result. Now we can take an example to clear out the concept. Suppose you have a matrix A and you have another matrix, say B. This is 2, this is -1, -3. Now suppose we take the product A into B. So what will be the result? 3, 2, 2, -1, -3 and 2. To multiply you will have 4, -3, then you have -2, +2, 6, -6, -3, +4, and what we are getting is 1, 0, 0, 1. This is the identity matrix. Now similarly, if you take B into A, we will again get the identity matrix. So what conclusion can we make? That these two matrices are inverse of each other and both are invertible matrices. Okay. Now we talk about the uniqueness part of the inverse of a matrix. So we say the uniqueness of inverse. Whenever the inverse exists of a matrix, it is always unique. So inverse of a matrix if it exists is unique. Now this can be easily proved. So what we do is we say let A be a say square matrix. We take a square matrix, capital A. And what we do is, we say, let the inverse of A is not unique. And for simplicity, we say, take the matrices B and C of the same order to be the inverse of A. So what we say is, let B and C be the inverse of A. Now, since B is the inverse of A, since B is the inverse of A, so what this will mean is that A into B is equal to B into A is equal to the identity matrix. Now similarly, since C is the inverse of A, we have A into C is equal to C into A is equal to the identity matrix. Okay, now our job is now restricted to just proving that B is actually equal to C. Then we can say that the matrix A has got a unique inverse. So what we do is, we start with B. Now B can be written as B into I. Now we have to somehow introduce C. So what we do is, in place of I, we just use this, so that because we can use the condition BA is equal to I, so we just write I as AC. We use the associated property, that is B into A. Now B into A is identity matrix, and then identity matrix multiplied by C is C. And this gives you that the inverse of a matrix, if it exists, is unique. That means a given matrix cannot have more than one inverse. Now we just move on to another important result. And the result says, if A and B are invertible matrices, of the same order, then AB whole inverse is equal to B inverse A inverse. And again you can see that the reversal law holds true over here. As you have seen for the transpose, that AB whole transpose is B transpose into A transpose. Similarly, AB whole inverse is B inverse into A inverse. Now, how to prove this thing? We start with AB into AB inverse is equal to identity matrix. Now, another important thing is that the matrix multiplication is not commutative. So, whenever we multiply by a matrix, we have to specify whether we are multiplying from the left side of the another matrix or to the right of it. That means whether we are pre-multiplying or we are post-multiplying. So that has to be mentioned so as to take care of the fact that the matrix multiplication is not commutative. Just by saying that with the matrix B we are multiplying a matrix A, it is not sufficient. Are we talking about AB or we are talking about BA? It is very important. So what we do is, because we have to deal with this, we have to remove somehow this thing. So what we do is pre-multiplying both sides by A inverse. What we get is A inverse AB, this is AB whole inverse is equal to A inverse into the identity matrix. Now what we have, 1, 2 and 3 of the matrices are there. What we do is we apply the associative law. On applying the associative law, what we do is we take these two as one pair and AB inverse is left out. Now whenever you multiply a matrix by the identity matrix, it preserves the identity, and so we have A inverse over here. Now again we apply the associative property, that is A inverse into A into B, and this is AB whole inverse, this is A inverse. Now A inverse into A is the identity matrix. You multiply it by B and then you have AB whole inverse is equal to A inverse. Now this is B into AB inverse is A inverse. Now again what we do is we pre-multiply both sides by B inverse. Pre-multiplying both sides by B inverse. So what we have is B inverse B AB inverse is equal to D inverse into A inverse. We apply the associative property. Is equal to B inverse into A inverse. Now B inverse into B is identity matrix. This is the identity matrix. So this is I AB inverse is equal to B inverse into A inverse. Now identity matrix is multiplied by AB inverse will give you AB whole inverse is equal to B inverse into A inverse, and hence the result that AB whole inverse is actually equal to B inverse into A inverse. That is how we will be proving this result. Now what we move on to is basically the elementary operations. So we move on to elementary operations or transformation of a matrix So we have the elementary operations or transformations of a matrix. There will be 6 types of elementary operations. 3 for the rows and 3 for the columns. Okay, we start with the first one. Interchange of any 2 rows or columns. Now basically elementary operations are done on a matrix to obtain a new matrix. Now the operation whenever we do on any of the matrix, it is important that we understand the basics. what operations will do to a matrix? Obviously, it will change the matrix. Where do we use the elementary operations? Obviously, we use the elementary operations in finding the inverse of a matrix, in solving a system of linear equations. Sometimes we have a system of equations and we convert that into the echelon form. So these are some of the concepts which you might be studying at a higher level. So the first one is interchange of any two rows or columns. And how do we denote this thing? We write it as Ri and this is Rj. And correspondingly for the column we have Ci and Cj. What this means is that we are interchanging the ith row and the jth row. That's it. What this means? We are interchanging the ith column and the jth column. We understand this with an example. If you have a matrix, suppose 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? Now what we do is, suppose we apply this thing, say R1 and R2 are interchanged. So what do we get? Do we get the same matrix? No. The matrix changes. Suppose we say the new matrix is B. So what happens? The elements of the second row now becomes the elements of the first row, and the elements of the first row now becomes the elements of the second row. Similarly, if I apply on this one, say this operation, C1 and C3 are interchanged. What it means is that the column 1 and column 3, they are interchanged. So suppose we get a new matrix, say D. So what we get is the elements of the third column now become the elements of the first column. The second column is remains undisturbed over there. It is not disturbed over there, and the elements of the first column now becomes the elements of the third column. So you have 2, 2 and 4 over here, and we get a new matrix. This is how we will be applying the row operation and the corresponding column operation on a matrix. Now we could have applied on this one also to get a new matrix. Now we move on to the next two elementary operations, one for the row and one for the column, and it says the multiplication of the element of any row or column by a non-zero number. So if k is a non-zero number, then we write this as Ri is k times of Ri. That means we are multiplying all the elements of the ith row by k. Similarly, if I write Ci is k times of Ci, it means we are multiplying each element of the ith column by the non-zero number k. Okay. Now I just illustrate this one with the help of an example. You have a matrix, say 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, -1, 2, -3, 1. This is a matrix given to you. Now if you say I somehow want to make it say 1 over here. So what could be the operation? The operation could be R1 is say 1 by 2 of R1. So what we are doing is we are making it as 1. So how do we make it 1? We divide it by 2. So we are actually multiplying by 1 by 2. On applying this operation, we get a new matrix, say D, and we get 1, 3 by 2 and 2. And the rest of the rows remains to be same. We do not disturb those 2 rows and we keep them intact as they are. Okay, so this is the row operation. If you want to understand the column operation, you could perform on this one or on that one. Suppose you want to say make it 8 or make it 12, you can perform any operation. Say C3 is say 2 times of C3, something like this, getting a new matrix D. So this is 2, 5, 2, 3, 7 minus 3. Now the change will occur in the third column, 8 minus 2 and 2. So this is for the column operation, this is for the row operation. Okay? The last one. The addition to the elements of any row or column the corresponding elements of any other row or column multiplied by a non-zero number. So what it says is, we take a particular row or column. To make the necessary changes with the help of the elements of another row or column, what we do is, we can add the multiples of the elements of another row or column to the row, to the elements of the row or the column in which we want the change. So the addition to the elements of any row or column, the corresponding elements of any other row or column multiplied by a non-zero number. Suppose we want to make a change in the ith row with the help of the elements of the jth row. So we write Ri is now changed to Ri plus k times of Rj. Obviously k is not equal to 0. Similarly, we do it for the column. Ci is Ci plus k times of Cj, and k is not equal to 0. That means we want to change the ith row with help of the jth row. So this is what we have to do. Similarly, we want to make a change in the ith column with the help of the jth column. So this is the operation what we will be performing. Ci is Ci plus k times of Cj. Now I give you an example. Suppose you have a matrix suppose I want to make this element to be, say, 1. So what we do is, with the help of this one, we can do it. So we have the operation, because R1 is already there, we just have to subtract the 2, that is, either you write it like this, or somehow, most of the times you just write it as R1 minus R2. So we are actually multiplying the R2, the elements of R2 by minus 1, and then we are adding it to this one to get a new matrix with B. So 3 minus 2 is 1, 4, 5 minus 2 is 3, 2 minus 1, 2, 4, 1, 2. So this is what we will be getting. Now suppose we want to make this as 0. We want to make this 0. So there are number of two of the options at least. One is basically with the help of this one. If you just apply the row operation and multiply this by 2 and subtract from R3, so we could have the operation R3 is R3 minus 2 times of R2, or what we could have, what is the other option? What will be the other option available to us? Okay, I hope all of you are able to understand. Yes, you are right. What we will do is we multiply this by 4 and we subtract from this one. So the other option could have been 2 R3 minus 4 times of R2. So this is for the row operations. You can just do the necessary changes, multiply the elements over here. This will become 0, this is 10, 1 minus 10 is minus 9, and this will change to minus 4. The rest of the rows will remain to be same if you apply this operation. If you just take this one, change R2, this is 0, 1, we just check it out. The best thing is we check it out, we keep R1 and R2 same, 1 minus 1, 5, 3, 2 minus 1, 2, and then you have R3 being 2 times of R2. So we multiply this, the elements of second row by 2 and subtract it from R3. So what we get is 0, this is 3, 2 minus 4 is minus 2. So this is how we will be making the changes. And if you multiply this by 4 and subtract from this one, this will be 0. This is 1 minus 20 is minus 19. 2 minus 12 is minus 10. So this is what we will be getting. So these are basically the things for the elementary operations. And similarly, please, you can just check it out for the column operations. You can do the column operations in a similar manner. You can have something, this becoming 1, you can say C2 minus C1, and similarly, if you want to make this as 0, you can have C3 minus C1. So many options are available. Depending upon the need, we apply the row operations or the column operations. Now we move on to the next topic, inverse of a matrix by elementary operations. So inverse of a matrix by elementary operations. Okay. So what we are doing is we will be building up the concept how to use the elementary operations in finding out the inverse of a matrix if it exists. And we know that the inverse exists only for square matrices if it exists. Okay. So we are talking about the square matrices. So that has to be clear to us. We will not be talking about the rectangular matrix or some other matrix. We are just simply talking about the square matrices, the number of rows, number of columns, they are equal. So it is important that we have a clear concept. So what we start with is that let capital X, capital A, capital B be three matrices of the same order, of the same order, and we have X is actually equal to AB. This is what we are getting. So what we do is we have two of the options. This is an equality for three of the matrices where the product of A and B is actually equal to the matrix X. Now what we do is when we apply the row operations, we apply the row operations on both the left hand side and the right hand side. Now the tricky part comes. What has to be done? When you apply the row operations, we apply on these two matrices. So in order to apply a sequence of elementary row operations, we take these two matrices. So what we do is we apply the row operation on X and we apply the row operation on the first matrix, which is over here A, so that the equality still remains intact. We want to keep the equality hold throughout the whole process of finding out the inverse. So what we do is we apply the row operation on these two. We apply the row operations on these two, on the matrix X and the first of the two matrices. And similarly, when we talk about the column operations, we apply the column operations on these two. So, as to keep the equality intact, we want the equality to still hold. So, whatever the operations we are doing, we have to do on both the sides. If we are doing the row operation, we do it on the matrix X and the matrix A on the other side, the first of the two matrices. Over here, we apply the column operation on X and the second of the matrices on the other side. This is very important. Keep this in mind. In the board examinations, one of the questions came also, which basically tested this concept of yours, and the equality was given and the operation was given to you. For example, if I say you have this and you have 2 minus 3 minus 1, 2, like this. And suppose it says apply C1 is C1 plus 2 times of C2. So what we will do? Will you apply this operation on this, this and this? All three of the matrices? or suppose I name them. Suppose I say A, B and X. So what has to be done? Obviously we apply it on X. Do we apply on both A and B? Only A, only B on the left side, or X? So there's so many things which go in our head. So we have to be clear whenever it is of the form X equal to AB or AB equal to X, whenever we apply the column operation, it has to be on the second matrix and this one. So we apply this operation on this one, and you have the first column being changed, and we are adding twice of the elements of the second column. So 3 to the 6, 6 plus 2 is 8, 4 plus 1 is 5, this is 3, this is 2, 2 minus 3 minus 1, 2. We are not is equal to, we change this one, this is 1, 0, and then this is 2 and this is 1. Now, are we correct in doing what we have done? Yes or no? So that can be easily checked. What we do is, we simply multiply. If we multiply the two, let us see what we get. 8 to the 16, 16 minus 3 is 13. From the first element itself, we know that we are going somewhere wrong, because minus 24 plus 6 is minus 18. 5 to the 10, 10 minus 2 is 8. Minus 15 and plus 4, minus 11. So what was the error what we committed? We forgot that we have to do it on the second matrix. So not on the first matrix, we have to do it on the second matrix, and we change these two. So 2 and minus 6 is minus 4, minus 1 plus 4 is 3. Now we check. 2 into minus 4, minus 8, plus 9 is 1, minus 6 plus 6 is 0, 1 into minus 4, minus 4, plus 6 is 2, minus 3 plus 4, 1, absolutely right. So, this is how you can check in the examination also. If you forgot, by mistake you were able to perform, or you performed the operation on the wrong matrix, but then you have the choice of checking out your equality over there. If the equality holds, then the operations what you performed were correct, otherwise you have performed on the wrong matrix. Okay, now we just come back to the main thing what we were discussing, the inverse of a matrix by elementary operations. So what we do is, if A is an invertible matrix, that means its inverse exists. Then what we do is, obviously A inverse exists. So if you want to find out A inverse, using elementary row operations, if you want to use the elementary row operations, okay, so what we do is, we have understood that if you have got something of the form x equal to AB, then we apply the row operations on x and A. So we arrange the concept of A being equal to IA somewhat like this, because we know that A is equal to IA as well as AI. So what we do is, we write like this. We write A is equal to IA. This is always true. So what we do is we start applying a sequence of elementary row operations. And by applying the elementary row operations, what our effort is, we convert this by a sequence of row operations. We pay attention to this matrix. We try to convert this matrix A into the identity matrix, and whatever the operations we perform on this one, we keep on simultaneously performing on the identity matrix. And suppose it converts to another matrix B, and this matrix is actually then we call as the inverse of A by the definition of the inverse of a matrix. Okay, this will basically change to another matrix which will give us the inverse, provided this matrix gets converted into identity matrix. If at any stage we find that all the elements of any particular row, are 0, then we stop and we say that the inverse do not exist for the matrix A. Okay? Now, this is for the row operations. Now, when we do the column operations, what we do is we apply on the second matrix. So that is what the case was. We were applying the operations on the second one. So we write this as A is equal to A, and again what we do is we start applying a series of column operations. Very important, do not mix the row operations and the column operations. If you are finding the inverse by the row operations, only the row operations have to be applied. If you start with the column operations, only the column operations have to be done. Do not mix the row and the column operations in any of the questions. Just choose one of them, either the row operation or the column operation, and continue with it. Do not mix the row and the column operations, because the operations have to be applied on a specific matrix when we are dealing with the product of the two of the matrices, because row operations on A and the column operations on B. We do not want to disturb this matrix. We keep this as intact. We reduce this to the identity matrix. This matrix gets converted into a new matrix, say B, and you have identity matrix is equal to somewhat like this, AB, and then this plays the role of A inverse. Again, one thing which has to be kept in mind, that if while doing the column operations, if at any stage you find the elements of any particular column, all the elements of any particular column are 0. This is what your observation is. Then we stop. You have to stop over there. Just mention that the inverse do not exist of the given matrix. Okay? I hope all of you understood the elementary operations. Okay, in the next video, we will be discussing the application of the elementary operations to determine the inverses. Thank you so much.